guys, what's up? My name is Alex and welcome back to my first review of 2018. Like I said in my January channel update video, I was planning to do more movie reviews during this year. So today I'm reviewing a film that was released last year in December, the recent Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. Before I begin, I would like to mention that there will be spoilers in this review. However, for those who haven't seen The Last Jedi, I will give you a short spoiler-free review to The Last Jedi. Now, before I watched The Last Jedi, I had only watched one trailer and that's it. I went into this movie without any knowledge of what's already happened. Now, I'm not one of those people who catches up and rewatches every single Star Wars movie and analyzes everything. My Star Wars knowledge isn't the best, but I'm only here just to share my thoughts about the movie itself, the good, the bad, and my overall verdict on the movie. So without further ado, let's begin, starting off with my short spoiler-free review of what to expect from this movie. A word of advice before watching this movie: watch episode 7, The Force Awakens, so that you can refresh yourself on the characters, the scenarios of what's happening, so therefore when you watch this movie, you know where you left off and you're on track of what's going on. But I will say this, don't expect that this movie is like a recreation of The Empire Strikes Back. Because it's not. It has some interesting plot twists, there's some amazing moments, there's a lot of character development with Rey and Kylo Ren, so you get to see more of them and how the Force connects these two characters together. There's more detail about Luke Skywalker's backstory of being a Jedi, you get to learn the truth about him, so prepare yourself and just enjoy it, because it's a well written episode and it's directed beautifully with high quality shots, cool special effects, and the CGI is pretty good as well. So make sure you go and watch it and then come back to hear the rest of my review of The Last Jedi. Final warning, there will be spoilers in this review. You have been warned right now. Okay then, let's dive into this review. Star Wars The Last Jedi for me was a very interesting and very entertaining movie. There were some moments that I loved a lot. There were some moments that took me completely off guard and surprised me. And then there were some moments that I frankly have issues with. But it was absolutely amazing of how they handled each character and how they made the movie so unpredictable in the way that it's not an exact recreation of The Empire Strikes Back. The same goes with The Force Awakens, was similar to the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope. And every moment that came in this movie where I thought it was going to go that way, the movie decided to take a different road, and I didn't expect that. Also, I thought that the evolution of the main characters was really great. You get to see Rey seeing face to face with Luke Skywalker, ready to become a Jedi, and what you learn about her is that even though she's happy that she has these powers and is still adapting to use the Force, she's also afraid. She doesn't know how to deal with these powers. She doesn't know how to control it. She doesn't know her backstory of who she is or who her parents are, and a lot of that troubles her. And it also troubles Luke because he's worried that because of these fears it could easily lead her to get swayed by the dark side, and he's already dealt that with Kylo Ren. He doesn't want to go through that again. Rey for me was fantastic, played by the gorgeous looking Daisy Ridley, as I may say, and I want to say that I'm glad that Rey wasn't a descendant from the Skywalker generation. The surname of Skywalker doesn't automatically make you a Jedi, because I'm sick and tired of the same character whose last name is Skywalker and is a Jedi. I'm relieved that we finally have a character whose backstory is unknown, and in this movie we found out that Rey is a nobody. She never knew her parents were. I'm unsure if this is the correct story, but Rey was sold away as a very young child to another pair, like an auction. She wasn't valued enough, and I thought this was really cool of how they revealed this. She fell into a bottomless pit on the island, and she found this weird mirror which casted a line of reflections of herself, and at the end of the line, she was faced in front of what looked like a frosty mirror. Then she saw someone on the other side, thinking it would be her parents. However, it felt more like a trap, leading her to what she's supposed to find, and in actual fact, she found her reflection, tricking her about the entire idea that she could find her parents. I thought they handled it really well. And Rey, she has some guts. I mean, she intimidated Luke Skywalker, swinging her lightsaber in anger like a baseball bat. And that scene with her and Luke was quite intense, as Luke spilled the beans about failing as a mentor to Kylo Ren. And you see the struggle that Luke faces in this movie. Luke, you would think that he's going to come in as the Obi-Wan role and do his thing so that Rey could become the next Jedi and that's it. Nah, man. Luke got some backstory that's like a little like, dude, what? And it could have been the reason why all of the stuff we're dealing with now is happening, and he always regrets that. And what's interesting about the story, it's one of those stories that you get to hear a couple of times in the movie, and you can hear it from different perspectives, so you see how each person feels about that moment, and how it looked to them, and why they're acting the way they act now. Is it because of what happened in their mind at that moment? It sounds confusing, but it makes sense. Mark Hamill, who did a really good job playing as Luke Skywalker, and what I liked about him was his stubbornness and his arrogance towards Rey, especially his very first scene they had together, which Rey gave Luke his lightsaber, and then suddenly Luke just chucked the lightsaber off the cliff, and I was like, damn, did he just do that? Did he actually just do that? Chucked it away like it was the toy that you didn't want at Christmas. I also like the Yoda cameo, that was really good. I loved the scene where Luke was teaching Rey how to use the Force by reaching out using her mind. Initially, that didn't work. She just reached out with her hands, expected to feel the Force, and Luke just tickled her and then smacked her, which I thought was quite funny. But the scenes with Rey and Luke on the cliff top, learning the ways on how to use the Force, they have some really great special effects to show how Rey dealt with the Force, and Luke was quite surprised of how well she dealt with it. The thing is about these two is that Rey feels like a young apprentice learning from the best. However, she copes really well with the training on her own. I personally thought that Luke wasted her time teaching her because she was already well trained, and I thought his entire backstory was very intriguing. I know some people were complaining about Luke's character, which didn't really exceed their expectations. Luke wasn't the Luke like we saw in other previous episodes, and I think it comes a time where one Jedi has had enough of teaching others to become Jedis, and in his perspective, he doesn't want the Jedi to live on anymore, because since he failed Kylo Ren, he believes that there's no point to continue with the teaching of others, because he's going to fail them in the same way he did with Kylo Ren. Speaking of him, I'm absolutely loving Adam Driver's Kylo Ren. He's a brilliant actor, and I love how he's that typical bad guy character who kills off his master in order to be set free, so therefore he can become the supreme leader and control the universe with his deadly powers. Literally, there's a scene in this movie that he kills his master with his lightsaber so that he could save Rey, and I thought that was pretty neat of how he did that. The thing is, you can't just look at him thinking that he's going to be the new Vader, because he's not. This is a guy who is clearly emotional, and he has issues because he's had problems with his mentors, both from the light side and the dark side, and he's just very confused and conflicted about who he's supposed to be with this power. And then they showcase in this movie that there is some kind of special connection between Kylo Ren and Rey. It's almost like a Jedi FaceTime where they can sense each other and talk to each other when they're not even in the same area. And at least there were some very interesting conversations. Both want to have a better future, but they just want to do it in different ways. They're both like, oh no, you come over my side. No, you come over my side. It's like a big tug of war. Literally, there's a scene which feels like a straight up Jedi tug of war. Meanwhile, you got Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac, who is such a talented actor, and in my personal opinion, he is one of the most gifted characters in this movie, and I actually think that he's such a well-developed character because he has some great moments. He started out really well, and I like where he ends up at the end. He probably has more of an arc in terms of ending up in a different place than he originally started than any other character in this movie. Other characters who go through arcs have a dip, but then they end up very similar to where they started at the beginning of the movie. Poe, for me, he changes his approach and his thinking as what's the best way to handle this fight. He gets a little cocky in this movie as General Leia has to remind him a few times that, look, you did something awesome over here, and the First Order was over here with these 10 other people that you weren't noticing and just killed them all. So, good job? And there's this scene that takes place where they're having this big massive space battle at the beginning of the movie, and I thought like, oh, this is the massive cool action space battle at the start of the movie, just to get the entire thing going straight away. Come to find out that this is actually a large part of the entire movie. There's a resistance ship that's pretty much the last of the people in the resistance, and the First Order is right on their tail. The resistance is in trouble. They're running out of fuel, they're running out of power. They even tried to get away from the First Order using light speed, and the First Order got some new GPS tracking system to figure out that even if you get far away from us using certain ways, oh, we got you. And then of course we had Finn waking up from his coma from the last time we saw him, and he's like, where's Rey? He knows that Rey is away and he doesn't want her to come back because he's afraid that she'll get in danger if she does come back here. So he tries to find her so they can escape together, and then he runs into Rose, a brand new character, who thinks that he's trying to get away. Then they run into a few arguments, but then they end up being a pair in this movie, and then they go on to this quest of their own to find this code breaker, so therefore they can help the resistance get away from the First Order. Now, there's something about Rose that many people didn't like about her, and for me, I too agree with them. She was just bland. There wasn't anything special or amazing about her. She wasn't written well, but when she came on screen, she was fine. But it felt that like she was one of those people who won a special contest to be in Star Wars. That typical fangirl who desperately wants to play a part in Star Wars. And when you get towards the end of the movie, she saves Finn in a moment where she should have saved him. And there was like this weird false romance. That scene just didn't work, and it made me think that, why did you do that? He was going to do something epic so that the resistance could get away, and you just ruined it. Since we're still on the topic of negativity, the biggest complaint I had in this movie was the casino bits. Firstly, I actually liked the look and the set design of the casino. However, it was just pointless in the movie. Why was it even there? The whole purpose of the casino place was just to find this code breaker where Finn and Rose were exploring the place, and they got into trouble, and then were trying to escape with this code breaker so they could turn off the tracking system on the First Order's TIE fighter, and it was just oblivious in the end as Leia's Vice Admiral destroyed the First Order's TIE fighter, but she destroyed it in a way it was so brilliant. I would never thought about doing that with a ship in Star Wars, but when they do it, it is so awesome. It is so awesome that the movie just stops doing sound. It's just like, and I was like, whoa, that was mint. I actually felt sorry for John Boyega because he was just absolutely outstanding in this movie. I freaking love his character, and to have him with Rose in the casino place doing absolutely nothing really frustrates me. But there's an awesome moment where Finn is confronting and fighting against Captain Phasma, and he definitely brings it. I was like, damn, Finn. Wow. And I thought Captain Phasma was underused in this movie. She had a fantastic costume, and I wanted more of her because she would have made a difference. She only gets one scene with Finn, and that's it. It's a really great scene, but it's a scene. A scene. And Leia, she's pretty good in this. She goes full general in this movie, and she reminds you real quick to remember that I'm a Skywalker too. I know Luke got all these powers, but she pulled out a power and that just blew my mind. I didn't know that Jedis could do that. Speaking of powers, Luke does something with his Jedi powers. I was like, damn. Luke does a thing where it's like, you got this one time to see this and you'll never see me do it again, but when I do it, I hope you enjoy. And I was like, I did. Good job, Luke. But I tell you who really has the Force. It ain't Rey. It ain't Kylo Ren. It's freaking BB-8. BB-8 is like OP robot. This droid can pretty much do anything, especially towards the end. BB-8 does something that was pretty much like, god dang it, BB-8, what can't you do? People talk about Rey being overpowered. People throw BB-8 in this movie. They literally throw him. He should break apart, and he's just like a freaking bouncy ball, like, oh, my head fell off, oh, let me just grab that real quick. You can't kill BB-8. BB-8 is a Terminator, and soon in the near future, we could be ruled by an army of BB-8s, and I'm okay with that. As always, the action in this movie is always on point, and along with the visual visual effects and special effects. The space battles are always fantastic, and oh, there's a lightsaber battle in this movie that is just so amazing, and it's the battle with Luke Skywalker and Kylo Ren. If I could pause the movie at the precise moment where Luke and Kylo Ren are standing apart from each other with their lightsabers, it looks absolutely fantastic. I would honestly love to have it as a poster in my room. However, I couldn't find the image for this video, but for those who have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Oh, and the final act or the final battle in this movie is really cool. It's not a Death Star, it's Death Star-ish, but at least it's on the ground this time, so we get a ground fight. They're on this soul planet where the white part peels away and it turns red, almost like a planet's surface of blood, and it has this nice visual to it. It was worth it. Also, during the great fight between Kylo Ren and Luke, we found out that the revelation that Luke wasn't even there, and then you realize the hints that were right in front of you, because I noticed very early on that they drew attention to the fact that Kylo Ren is leaving footprints and Luke is not, and I thought that was just a matter of like, oh, he's so down with the Force, like he leaves no trace or anything like that. But then we realized that he wasn't even there, and that was a really good reveal because he hadn't even been there the entire time. However, the lightsaber caught me out because I was thinking, like, what was that, the lightsaber that just got split in half? What's going on here? But now I know why, because he wasn't really there. And as the fight was going on, it made more sense because he wasn't blocking anything, he was just avoiding contact at all costs. And when the First Order were attacking Luke with these bombardments of bombs being thrown at him, the thing is, I am still glad that it was a fake out, because otherwise it's like, really? Because we saw a whole bunch of Jedi Masters getting gunned down by some clone troopers back in Revenge of the Sith. I know many people don't like Revenge of the Sith, but I think it's alright. Now, I think Snoke deserves a mention in this video because I have a big problem with Snoke in this movie. The fact that they reference Snoke so much in The Force Awakens and in this movie, you're gonna go in expecting that this guy is a force to be reckoned with. We know that he's been around since way before the Empire even existed. Han Solo in The Force Awakens is aware of Snoke. He says that he has a grip on Ben Solo. He's the reason why Ben Solo turns to the dark side in the first place. So for this guy to be spoken about so much and to have this mystery around him as to who he is or where he comes from, something that we didn't actually get with the Empire, because even though he does sort of appear, they don't really reference the Emperor a lot. But like I said, you have the builder with Snoke and it just didn't pay off. And it's time for the biggest spoiler in this movie. Are you ready? Luke Skywalker dies. He doesn't get killed, he just fades away. Now, many people have a massive issue with this, and I don't know why. The thing is, Luke has lived on for ages, possibly not ages, or should I say light years, and it comes a time where Luke must depart from the Star Wars universe. He's been the most essential character in Star Wars. However, some will say that Luke was out of character in this movie. For example, as he was training with Kylo Ren, he saw the confliction of Kylo Ren choosing paths between the dark side and the light side, and his first thoughts was to kill him. That's possibly why some fans were really frustrated by Luke's character. The inconsistency of Luke's character just didn't work for them. The overall structuring and the pace of the movie was a little slow in places where the movie just dragged on for too long. I thought all of the new animals were really good. The porgs are not annoying. I was very concerned about them, but they were very cute, and I love how Chewbacca was getting irritated by the porgs. It was quite amusing. The Arctic foxes looked really cool, and those mountain racing goats, I don't know what their actual name is, but they were good. Also, I gotta give Rian Johnson huge credit for writing and directing this movie. He did a superb job overall. All of the actors and actresses were fantastic in their roles, and credit to all the crew for making this entire movie possible. My overall rating for this movie is a great solid 9 out of 10. They could have structured the movie a little tighter so that it doesn't feel draggy, and they could improve on a few things. But other than that, Star Wars The Last Jedi was phenomenal. Please let me know what you thought about Star Wars The Last Jedi in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button and remember to subscribe for more amazing videos. May the Force be with you always. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, have a great day.